You found the Live Local Marketing Podcast, where business owners share their knowledge about what's working in the market today. No fluff, just their experiences and stories from people who are making it happen. And if authentic, practical marketing resonates with you, be sure to visit livelocalwarmmarketing.com and learn to grow your business on warm marketing referrals. Now, on to the show. Welcome. Thanks for joining us for the Live Local Podcast today. We are with Marie. Ma'am, how are we feeling today?
I'm doing excellent. I'm excited. How are you, Bill?
Doing great. So we've decided before the started that you have superpowers that actually killed the power of all your devices, and that somehow you're a superwoman. So we're going to learn a lot from Superwoman today.
All right, let's go.
All right, we'll do a little background on you so that people know a general idea of who you are, and then we'll get right into the questions. So Marie is the founder of Profit Lab and Marie CPA. She's a 10-time certified elite coach, one of only 30 in the world. She's a speaker, a trainer, certified public accountant, and chartered global management accountant, auditor, and contributor to the Woodward Report, and think outside the tax box. Sorry, I messed that one up. And podcast host. She's had hundreds of clients, financial auditors, chiefs, financial officers, and an array of awards. So this is going to be a great conversation, especially with all those accolades and experience and superpowers. Marie, are we ready for the questions?
I'm ready. I'm
ready.
Ready.
Let's do this. All right.
Let's
so talk
go.
to us about your first win as an entrepreneur.
Ooh, the first win was actually before I launched my business. I knew someone where I used to work in the committee chair, and he introduced me to my first client, and I closed that first deal. I think that was like the easiest closing of a deal. It didn't require a lot of work, right? But because of that great introduction, it made it very quick. And that client is still with me, and I just upsold them a whole bunch of new work. And so I feel like that is a very, very great win, because you not only close a deal and get a client to help them and serve them, but keep in long term and build that relationship. So we have a very close relationship. Even my team members notice the way I handle clients, and they've been my first client and they're still with me. So that's a massive win for me.
That is, and your first client, not many people nail them that easy and that quickly. Did you have to do a lot of pre-work to get like trust and so forth, or how'd you get that to work so easily?
Right. And I think it was the person that introduced me to them. So he was their treasurer on the board. They're not the nonprofit. So, and I was actually a CFO of another nonprofit. I was just trying to build, this side hustle. And he's like, you know what? I keep getting into this. I need help. I think you could be great if you have time. Let me make the introduction. And sure enough, he did it. And we talked. And then they said, you know what? Yes. So he transitioned whatever he was doing to me. And then we started from there.
Do you do most of your work then off referrals? Because I'm sure that first win was like, that's too easy. Do you do a lot of warm referrals now too for most of your business, or do you also do like marketing and stuff?
Absolutely. Both of them. I try to be omnipresent all over as much as possible. But yes, that was that first win. And of course, the warm referrals are always going to be highly converting, but you still want to have that presence online and be able to showcase what you can do.
Got it. That makes sense. All right. So talk to us about your best habit as an entrepreneur.
Okay. My best habit is building my own discipline. And I feel like I've always had a good discipline. But once I became an entrepreneur, it was very clear that I have to be even more structured than what I am. So I built that discipline over the last 5 years, and I repeat it every day. And I start with, Bible reading, my prayer, and the first time of the day is given to God. That's very important. If I don't do it, it feels funny and weird. The next thing I do is my 10X training on Cardone University. I want to make sure I'm fresh and always have the content in my mind. After that would be, I try to squeeze in a little bit of workout, and then it's like mommy time, getting the kids ready, just going through the business stuff, and then wrapping up with, we do some martial arts. And so we go a few days a week. And then that's usually the discipline I'm always keeping. So that structure keeps me in line and try to be as much productive as possible.
So you have systems as been habits. How long did it take you to form these habits? Do you like sit down and consciously say, hey, listen, at 9 a.m. I'm doing this, 11 a.m. I'm doing this? Or is it just like the routine that has taken you years to grow?
It does take some time to build that discipline. I've always liked calendaring things from a business standpoint, right? When
Got
you're
it.
working for someone else, like, okay, I'm here 8 to 9 hours, even though I work more, but I would calendar things to make sure that I stay structured. So
Got it.
as an entrepreneur, though, your time can literally go out the door if you don't pay attention. And for me to perform at my highest level, I needed to think through, okay. And something that Grant Cardone teaches is like, just put everything on the calendar and stick to it. So it took me about, I would say, 90 days to start building some of the habits. And now it's like, it's just already normal. It's been like 5 years. And if I don't do it, it feels weird.
That makes sense. That makes sense.
If that makes sense, yeah.
No, it does. It does. There's the other great book. It's the Atomic Habits. Atomic Habits is another great book that goes over the various things that you're talking about too. Great read as well.
Love it.
It makes complete sense. That's a great book as well. Talk to us about your favorite marketing strategy that you're using, either with yourself, your business, or with your clients that you're using right now. A quick break before we get to that next answer, because I know that answer is going to be brilliant, which is why I chose this moment to interrupt. If you love what you're seeing and you want to run your business off of warm marketing referrals, visit our website, livelocalwarmmarketing.com. It's got valuable resources, office hours, memberships, the book, an array of resources to help you get rid of cold calls, cold leads, door knocking, and run a business you can be proud of through referrals and warm marketing. Now, back to the show.
Yeah. So right now, what I'm working on is to produce more video content. It's always been part of my strategy, but I think we're trying to really ramp up to a point where we try to produce 20 to 30 videos to post almost every day. We do have other social media as well, and then of course blogging, all of that. So we try to do all of it as much as possible. I had a little hiccup middle of last year. My marketing staff that I had trained him from the time he was an intern. He was with me for 3 years. He could basically read my mind what I wanted, right? So that's where you get this person that's been with you forever. But he had a really wonderful opportunity to work with John Hancock. So I kind of got left kind of hanging. So it took me a little bit of regrouping to find someone to actually help with the video and video editing. So that's really not my forte. I can do other stuff through other softwares, but then really those clean editing and posting, it requires time. So that is the biggest strategy we're focusing on. And then of course I relaunched my podcast, The Profit Lab, to again build more content, build that expertise and the knowledge for people to trust the work that we're doing.
So it's blogging, it's video making, and you just said the third one.
Podcasting.
Yep, those three things. So those areas. Where, what platforms are you putting those things on, and why did you decide on those platforms?
So similar to you, actually, I use StreamYard for the podcasting. I did that a long time ago. I had to take a 2-year hiatus for some personal stuff with, dental, surgeries. So I relaunched it. So we use StreamYard for that. And I posted on all social media, YouTube, and then I put it on Podbean, which then sends it out to a whole slew of audio platforms. So I will maximize every possible opportunity.
Got it. So you find places that will distribute it en masse for you, essentially.
Podbean has been a very good one. I can put it on so many audio channels, Spotify, Apple, all of that. Yeah.
Gotcha. All right. Well, let's shift back to the video marketing. So when you do your video marketing, how are you coming up with the content you're using? And again, the same question with the podcasting. Where are you putting that? Because you need not audio, you need visual. So where are you getting the content and where are you putting it?
The content is, so when I relaunched my podcast, it's very specific to transitioning my CFO advisory framework, which I use for advisory services, to more of a coaching services. Because I think sometimes people see my credentials as CPA, they're thinking tax person, but that was not my training. That I was actually an auditor financial auditor, then a controller, then a CFO. So it's a very corporate, training and experience that I've had. So that CFO advisory, so coaching now, it's a whole new area for me to be able to explain what I do as a coach, which kind of pulls a lot of my financial background. That's what makes me unique. So the podcast is all about those different pillars that I've created, the framework, and really tapping into, we started with vision, mission, and clarity of that. We went into financial assessments. So we'll go through different pieces of what needs to be done. And as a coach, how can I guide them? So that's really content to specifically not only teach, educate, right? But I think I'm kind of funny as well when I'm doing my podcast. I have a little character there, not a typical CPA. So I try to make it a little educational and entertainment. So yeah, we put it on YouTube. YouTube is where I'm really trying to focus on right now, and to build that. So they have the visual, the same visual. We cut it, we cut the podcast into smaller 15-second, 30-second videos. I use Opus Clip, and now I have my editor too, so he can do a lot more. So then we post those as reels on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook.
You're hitting all the big ones. That's kind of the goal, is to make content, make it education, hit all the big ones.
Wherever they are, they're going to see me. They're going to see me over and over.
So a big part of your branding, I'm safely assuming, is a specific audience. You're talking to a specific person. You're not just educating. You can't just educate everybody. That doesn't work. How did you decide on who your target audience was and how to brand yourself?
That's a great question, because I think branding is hard, because at least for me, when I started, let's say with my current client, which is a nonprofit, I wasn't thinking of branding. I was thinking of how can I serve them best. But one of the things that I believe stands out about me and my brand is like the way I handle my clients, right? So I'm focused on, I'm all about loyalty, really high ethical standards. They want to be able to be in the mindset that they want to grow. There's certain things that I was looking at. So, and of course, over time, I've served people, and we've also parted ways nicely, just because we don't fit. It's just not working. They're not looking this big picture of where they want to go, and they just want the bare minimum. And I'm not a bare minimum person. So my brand is, I want to work with people, business owners, specifically in service-based industry, let's say IT, law, whatever, that are really in the mindset of growing. Do they want to buy a business? Do they want to grow the business and sell it? Based on that, it's going to be type of people that really are adamant about growing their business. And to do that, they need skills. They need financial literacy.
Yep. So you have a very specific person. Is the podcast and the videos and so forth just you, or you sometimes have guests and things on as well?
Yeah. So I launched this one again with just me right now. My prior podcasts have been in kind of a interview style, and then I do want to do an interview style again. Right now, based on my time commitments, I can only do this, but it is something that I'm looking forward to do. I always love talking to people. So I would love to launch another podcast at some point where I can invite people to have a conversation on some of these areas that I'm talking about.
So I'm going to, one more branding question then. So when you pull people in your show, again, you have a very specific person you're talking to. You can't just pull any old guest on there to be with you. Like, it's got to be a very specific person. How are you going to decide on who you're pulling on your show to be a guest with you?
I think I'm going to be building a specific questionnaire. And again, I have not really directly done that. But when I'm looking to serve people, let's say all of our video production right now happening, and even the podcast, I keep repeating, for example, service-based, making $750,000 plus in gross sales. They wanted to hit 3 million. So how do they get there? They need that skill, they need those skills to get there. So they can self-identify, okay, she's talking about me. Otherwise, it feels like I'm talking to everyone. And what I've learned over the past few years of being an entrepreneur is that when you're trying to talk to everyone, nothing happens. Nothing happens. And you might end up with those type of clients that they're not the right fit. And then eventually you have to part ways. So then it's wasted time for me, wasted time for them. So as as I grow in my experience as an entrepreneur, I've learned from my own mistakes, right? That now I know what I need to do to attract the right type of clients and the ones that I want to work with.
Good. That makes sense. That is awesome. That makes sense. Now, I'm going to pivot one more time. And we're going to talk about AI. What are some of your favorite uses of AI, if you're using it at all right now?
This is a good one. So just like everybody else, I started with ChatGPT a while back, and the main use is for marketing. And I know a lot of accountants right now are, trying to use AI and chatty from a different perspective. My use is mainly for marketing, because marketing and content creation and ideas takes a lot. So Chatty was the one I started, and Chatty was not even known at the time. So that's when I started. The other one that I use is, so I use Go High Level for my CRM. And then when they released the AI agent and AI, conversation AI, so I turned those on right away. I'm like, it will just save time. I can't jump on every call, and my team is very lean, so I want to make sure that I use AI as much as possible before I have to add team members. So AI will answer my calls. It will send me a message, what information they got. So then I can look at it. And if it's just a tire kicker or something that is like not important, like it's not a proper prospect, then I can choose to actually call them back or not. So it just really is effective. The third AI that I've been using recently, and a friend of mine, a colleague of mine actually recommended, is Sintra AI. And it's actually similar to ChatGPT, but what it is that when you sign up for it, they have 12 helpers. Each one has its own strength. So you have your copywriter, you have the social media person, you have the person that focuses on professional development and talent acquisition. The other one creates policies and procedures. So I can have different conversations with each one of them. So I'm giving them the different tasks. So I have 12 employees technically that I'm talking different things to. And then it has also a VA that is so cool that connects to your calendar and your emails, and it will start extracting, let's say, a summary of what you need to do today. So I'm like,
that is crazy. Our brains are going to start working so much differently with all these types of AI and all these aids and assistants. Like, we're going to be able to multitask and do all these different. It's going to be so interesting. It really is.
Yes. The only funny part I would say, sometimes I'll be like, I know I asked this question. Who did I ask? Who did I ask?
Does it tell you? Will it tell you who did that?
So sometimes I would do that. So let's say I talked to one of them, and I'll go to the chat. I'm like, hey, did I ask you about this? And they'll be like, something like, no, you didn't have that conversation with me. I'm like, can you check with the other helpers? Who did I have that conversation with? And sometimes you might find it, like it will be like, oh, it was Vizzy from the VA. I'm like, okay, thanks. I'll continue there because you have no. So when I think about so in Sintra, you can also have different workspaces. So then I have a workspace for the Profit Lab. I have a workspace for Marie Torossian CPA, because 2 different businesses. So then in reality, I have 24 that I have to talk to. So eventually I get confused.
That's crazy.
Who I was talking to. Where did I start that conversation?
That's so wild. That's so wild. All right. So before we get to your business, we have one more question for you. Today, we're going to talk about confidence. When you sit down with your clients and customers, and they're unsure about their business, or if they're ready to take it to the next level, or if they're ready to make that next big leap and step, how do you have that conversation with them, and how do you help instill confidence in them?
This is a great question. And I think confidence builds over time. The way I would have had that conversation when I first started was with literally no confidence, because I didn't even know what a sales process was. Because remember, as an accountant and a controller, CFO, I'm looking at numbers and analyzing numbers. Yes, I'm having conversations with internal team and selling them on certain ideas, for example. But it's a whole different thing when you have a business, you need a client, you have to close a deal. Otherwise, your business doesn't exist. So I did train a lot with Grant Cardone and to start building my sales process. over time, what has been very helpful to me, people want to see, they don't want to hear. So what I've tried to do is I'll have the initial conversation and I would always ask them, hey, if you're comfortable, I would like to see your books. You just have to give me access for a short time. I just want to see what's there, and then I'll tell you what needs to be done. And then we'll talk about numbers. We'll talk about next steps, like that. So so the first portion of that is that, will they trust me to give access to their books? So that comes from my knowledge and my experience that I share to a certain point, but also asking questions. What is the problem that they have? I'm taking notes on every single word they're saying. So then when I look at the books, I actually do use Loom. That's another technology that I use. Yeah. I use Loom to record the whole thing. And for most people, some people might say, well, you're just giving them everything. You're telling them what's wrong. I'm like, but that also adds value to saying, on top of what I'm saying, in confidence that I can fix it. So I'm seeing things that they never saw. So at that point, probably we're going to have to agree on some kind of a number. Some people will be ready for that investment. Some people will not. And that's okay. We can continue the conversation as needed. But I think that's how I've built confidence and a sales process that's very clear. I tell them exactly what we're going to do. So at that point, there's no confusion. It's very clear how we will work. And it's the same way when I onboard them.
That's not, yeah. So when people say, oh, I'm giving away all the good information, the people that are still going to hire you, they're doing it because they know you're save time. You're clearly way better at it than they are. Like, the value add is still there, even though you show them the things they should be doing. Isn't that? That's pretty much it, right? Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
So, all right, we're going to do the outro. We're going to have you talk about your business and how people can get a hold of you and get more information. There you go.
All right. So Marie Torossian, CPA and 10X certified coach. I help business owners that are doing $750K gross sales in their service industry, in the service-based industry. And I help them grow and scale their business using financial as their roadmap. So the way to reach out to me, I'm going to give the other email that I have, support@theprofitlab.biz. If I give my other email with my last name, people will get confused. So support@theprofitlab.biz, and let's have a conversation.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you very much for all the information. And overcoming your technology. We had the superpower joke came from the fact that you had so much power that you actually broke your computer in the beginning. So I appreciate your persistence hopping back on here, even after your superpowers went off. So
thank you so much for having me, Bill.
Absolutely.